قصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله وأطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في السور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لتمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكس في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم ما صلى
Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Please can I invite Brother Muhammad Kazim to recite a short surah. Brother Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين آمين.
Thank you very much, Muhammad Qasim, for that recitation. Can I now call Brother Jafar to recite next, please? Can you please invite him with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بانو یہ عابد کو بتلا رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے بانو یہ عابد کو بتلا رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے کہہ دو ہوا اسے آہستہ آئی کہہ دو پرندوں سے گل نہ مچائے کہہ دو اندھیروں سے واپس نہ جائے کہہ دو اندھیروں سے واپس نہ جائے جاگی ہوئی چین سے کچھ پا رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے بانو یہ عابد کو بتلا رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے شاید رسن کی اذیت ہوئی کم مدھم کرو بیویو شور ماتم سجاد زنجیر بولے نہ اس دم سجاد زنجیر بولے نہ اس دم شاید غموں کی گری جا رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے بانو یہ عابد کو بتلا رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے یہ شام غریبہ کی جاگی ہوئی ہے تماچوں کے در سے نہیں سو سکی ہے ذرا اب گلے سے رسن جھونک لی ہے ذرا اب گلے سے رسن جھونک لی ہے سکون سے جو اب سانس لے پا رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے بانو یہ عابد کو بتلا رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے میں خوش ہوں کہ سوئے گی میری دلاری میں قربان اس کے میں اب اس کی واری بہت سے چکی کی غازی کی پیاری بہت سے چکی کی غازی کی پیاری مگر نبض کچھ اور بتلا رہی ہے میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے، بانو یہ عابد کو بتلا رہی ہے، میری سکینہ کو نیند آ رہی ہے۔ بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم، الحمد للہ رب العالمین، الرحمن الرحیم، مالک یوم الدین، ایاک نعبد و ایاک نستعین، اہدنا الصراط المستقیم، صراط الذین انعمت علیہم غیر المغضوب علیہم ولا الضالین۔ اللہ
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Very well done, mashallah, good, well recited, Jafar. Can I please call Brother Asad to recite Salam? Or Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Salawat bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، کہ شک ہے جن کو اللہ کے عدل اور عدالت پر، منصب نبوت پر، سیدہ کی عظمت پر، مرتضیٰ کی احمد سے مختصر نیابت پر، جن کو شک ہے بارہ پر، بارہویں کی غیبت پر، سب ہی مار کھائیں گے، سب ہی مار کھائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ انعام پر صحابہ کے کام کافروں جیسے، نام پر صحابہ کے کام فاسقوں جیسے، نام پر صحابہ کے کام منکروں جیسے، نام پر صحابہ کے کام مشرقوں جیسے، سب ہی منہ چرائیں گے، سب ہی منہ چرائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ اے دعوی محبت جو صبح و شام کرتے ہیں، ان کے دشمنوں سے بھی راہ و رسم رکھتے ہیں، ان سے بھی نہیں دیتے، غیبتی بکھرتے ہیں، مومنوں سے بھی دل میں بغض و کینہ رکھتے ہیں، کس طرح نبھائیں گے، کس طرح نبھائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ اے نعمت شریعت کو بوجھ ہی سمجھتے ہیں، لام و لاب ہی کو ہم زندگی سمجھتے ہیں، صاحبان زر کو بعد آدمی سمجھتے ہیں تانگ دست مومن کو بس یہی سمجھتے ہیں کیا مقام پائیں گے کیا مقام پائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے اے الاجل جو کہتے ہیں آ گئے تو کیا ہوگا کیا ہے اپنی تیاری پیش ہم کریں گے کیا سبت جعفر اپنا تو کل یہی ہے سرمایہ حمد و نعت و سوز و سلام اور منقبت نوحہ ہم یہی سنائیں گے ہم یہی سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے صلوات بر محمد و آل محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد جل فرجهم
محمد وآل محمد صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد جل فرجهم
صلوات آتے جاتے ہیں ملائک یہاں ساحل بن کر آتے جاتے ہیں ملائک یہاں ساحل بن کر میرے معبود بتا تو ہی وہ گھر کس کا ہے میرے معبود بتا تو ہی وہ گھر کس کا ہے یہ جبیں جھکتی ہے جس در پہ وہ در کس کا ہے ہم پہ یہ لطف و کرم شام و سحر کس کا ہے زینت کرب و بلا بن کے نظر آتا ہے بنی ہاشم کا نہیں ہے تو خمر کس کا ہے بنی ہاشم کا نہیں ہے تو خمر کس کا ہے پھول کی طرح بتاؤ میرے مولا کے سوا پھول کی طرح بتاؤ میرے مولا کے سوا در خیبر کو کھاڑے یہ جگر کس کا ہے در خیبر کو کھاڑے یہ جگر کس کا ہے تیری صورت میں یزید اور تیری سیرت میں ابو سفیان کا نہیں ہے تو یہ شر کس کا ہے ابو سفیان کا نہیں ہے تو یہ شر کس کا ہے؟ زینت کرب و بلا بن کے نظر آتا ہے، بنی ہاشم کا نہیں ہے تو خمر کس کا ہے؟ بنی ہاشم کا نہیں ہے تو خمر کس کا ہے؟ ہجرت جان بچانے کے لیے ہوتی ہے، جان لٹانے کے لیے عزم سفر کس کا ہے؟ جان لٹانے کے لیے عزم سفر کس کا ہے؟ دین اسلام بتا دے جو تیرے کام آیا، آل احمد کے سوا خون جگر کس کا ہے؟ آل احمد کے سوا خون جگر کس کا ہے؟ یہ جبیں جھکتی ہے جس در پہ وہ در کس کا ہے؟ ہم پہ یہ لطف و کرم شام و سحر کس کا ہے؟ میرے معبود بتا تو ہی وہ گھر کس کا ہے؟ محمد وآل محمد صلوات. Can I please now call Brother Khaim Abbas to recite? جی آئیے بسم اللہ پلیز. آئیے
آپ پہلے آئیے نا. نہیں بیٹا نہیں آپ آؤ.
Uncle, after you please.
بیچ میں اگر
Time بہت ہے please. آئیے بسم اللہ. آئیے بسم اللہ. Do you want me to get you a chair?
نہیں ٹھیک نہیں. صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجہم. ایک ابھی میں دیکھ رہا تھا کہ کیا کو تھوڑا بہت پوری شرکت ہو جائے ذکر محمد وآل محمد میں. تو ایک دعا ہے جو عام طور پہ کی جاتی ہے اللہ سے اس کی بارگاہ میں ہر کوئی مانگتا ہے، ہر ایک کے اپنے حاجات ہوتی ہیں، لیکن یہ ایک مجھے بہت ہی اچھی دعا لگی تو میں نے کہا میں آپ کے خدمت میں پیش کروں. کوئی ضبط دے نہ جلال دے، مجھے صرف اتنا کمال دے، مجھے اپنی راہ پہ ڈال دے کہ زمانہ میری مثال دے. مجھے اپنی راہ پہ ڈال دے کہ زمانہ میری مثال دے. تیری رحمتوں کا نزول ہو مجھے محنتوں کا صلہ ملے. تیری رحمتوں کا نزول ہو مجھے محنتوں کا صلہ ملے. مجھے مال و زر کی ہوس نہ ہو، مجھے مال و زر کی ہوس نہ ہو، مجھے بس تو رزق حلال دے. ہے نا، یہ ایک ایکسٹریم ہے کہ بھی آپ اپنے لیے دعا مانگیں کہ جو آپ اچیو کرنا چاہتے ہیں اس کے حساب سے کہ بھی یہ رزق حلال جہاں پہ ہوگی برکتیں ہی برکتیں ہوں گی. میرے ذہن میں تیری فکر ہو، میری سانس میں تیرا ذکر ہو، تیرا خوف میری نجات ہو، سبھی خوف دل سے نکال دے. تیری بارگاہ میں اے خدا میری روز و شب ہے یہی دعا، تیری بارگاہ میں اے خدا میری روز و شب ہے یہی دعا، تو رحیم ہے تو کریم ہے، تو رحیم ہے تو کریم ہے، مجھے مشکلوں سے نکال دے۔ صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجہم۔ ایک جناب فاطمہ زہرا سلام اللہ علیہ کے اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔ میرا خیال ہے اتنے بھی کم لوگ نہیں ہیں جو ہم صلوات اونچی نہیں پڑھ سکتے ہیں، بآواز بلند صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔ ہر ایک ولی کے واسطے، ہر ایک ولی کے واسطے قبلہ ہے فاطمہ۔ یہ آپ نے نہیں سنی ہوگی، یہ ایران سے یہ مسدس آئی ہے۔ ہر ایک ولی کے واسطے قبلہ ہے فاطمہ، قول نبی ہے ام ابیہا ہے فاطمہ، قول نبی ہے ام ابیہا ہے فاطمہ، پڑھتے تھے جو علی وہ وظیفہ ہے فاطمہ، پڑھتے تھے جو علی وہ وظیفہ ہے فاطمہ، آگے خدا ہی جانے بھلا کیا ہے فاطمہ، آگے خدا ہی جانے بھلا کیا ہے فاطمہ۔ آخری شعر ذرا تھوڑا سا، ڈر ہے کہ کوئی کفر کا فتویٰ لگا نہ دے، ڈر ہے کہ کوئی کفر کا فتویٰ لگا نہ دے، مفتی کہیں مجھے بھی نصیری نہ بنا دیں، مفتی کہیں مجھے بھی نصیری نہ بتا دیں، کبھی یہ اتنا بڑھا رہے ہیں، کبھی یہ تو مولا علی کے ساتھ ان کو ملا رہے ہیں اور یہ کر رہے ہیں۔ تو یہ ایک بہت ہی مطلب اس طرح آخری جو ہے نا شعر، ڈر ہے کہ کوئی کفر کا فتویٰ لگا نہ دے، مفتی کہیں مجھے بھی نصیری بتا نہ دے، کہ یہ تو نصیری ہے اس کی بات مت سنو، ٹھیک ہے۔ صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔ ایک اور چند شعر ہیں جناب فاطمہ زہرا سلام اللہ کی خدمت میں۔ ہاں اے زباں خاموش ادب کا ہے یہ مقام، ہاں اے زباں خاموش ادب کا ہے یہ مقام، کوثر سے منہ کو دھو لے تو لے فاطمہ کا نام، کوثر سے منہ کو دھو لے تو لے فاطمہ کا نام، اے دل بجز درود نہ کچھ کیجیو کلام، اے دل بجز درود نہ کچھ کیجیو کلام، اے خلق اپنے سر کو جھکا دے با احترام، کاغذ پہ پہلے سورہ مریم کو دم کروں، کاغذ پہ پہلے سورہ مریم کو دم کروں، تب فاطمہ کی عصمت و عفت رقم کروں۔ صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد، بآواز بلند صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔ اور تمام مرحومین کے لیے سورہ فاتحہ اور 3 دفعہ کل۔ تھینک یو۔
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Before I begin the announcements, I'm seeing a lot of people sitting towards the back of the Islamic Center. Can we all please move a little bit further forward? By Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you very much. Respected elders, brothers and sisters in our community, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is Sunday, the 2nd of April, night of the 11th of Ramadan. And tonight we will inshallah be commencing with the first of 6 lectures recited by Brother Syed Zaki Rizvi. The topic for his series inshallah will be Quran and community. Please can we recite a Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of tonight's sponsors, Dr. Mahmoud Jafri and Sister Elia Zaidi, and all of their marhumin, including marhum Shahid Ali Zaidi, father of Sister Elia Zaidi. Surah Al-Mubarakatul Fatiha. Thank you very much. Please can we now invite Brother Syed Zaki Rizvi to the member with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي إليه مصائر الخلق وواقب الأمر نحمده على عظيم إحسانه ونير برهانه ونوام فضل امتنانه حمدا يكون لحقه قضاء ولشكره أداء وعلى صوابه موجبا ولحسن مزيده مقربا الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين راحة للعاشقين والمراد المشتاقين شمس العارفين والسراج السالقين نبي مصباح والعلم صاحب جود والكرم والله حافظه وجبرائيل خادمه والبراق مركبه سدرة المنتهى مقامه كعب قوسين محبوب رب المشرقين والمغربين جد الحسن والحسين مولانا ومولاي الثقلين أبي القاسم محمد وعجل فرجهم ثم الصلاة والسلام على جميع أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين المنتخبين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم منكر فضائلهم غاصب حقوقهم ومراتبهم ومنزلتهم ومقامهم من يومنا هذا إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله الحكيم في قرآنه الكريم وهو أصدق القائلين قوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم ولا تسألون عما كانوا يعملون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات وعجل فرجهم. There's not a lot of time left till iftar, and I plan to get off well before Maghrib time so that we will have time to do wudu and get ready for salah as well. So I'll dive right into it. Allah Azza wa Jal here in Surah Baqarah is talking about what? He's talking about communities. He says there was a community that came before you, a nation, a people who came before you. This is Surah Baqarah, ayah 141. Allah Azza wa Jal, He's saying there is a community that came before you. And then what does He say? He says, and they earned what they had to earn, and you earn what you have to earn. And then He says, and you won't be accountable for what they did. And it's a very odd ayah to think, because when we talk about accountability, when we talk about what we will be judged on, when we talk about what Allah Azza wa Jal will ask us questions on the Day of Judgment, we always consistently say the same thing. Allah will ask each individual about what they did. Allah will ask each person about their individual actions. The actions of other people, I won't account for them. My actions, nobody else will account for. That's why we constantly say we have to be accountable in Islam. But see, here's the thing. In this ayah, in this verse of Surah Baqarah, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He's saying what? He's talking about collective responsibility, collective accountability. You and your people won't be accountable for what was done by people before you. They have earned what they earned. You earn what you will earn. But Allah Azza wa Jalla is not talking about you as an individual. He's talking about you as a nation. He's talking about you as a people. He's talking about you as a group. So does that mean there's accountability between us as a group? There's accountability between us as a community? And that's where we come on to this idea of community and its importance. I've been asked over the next 6 days to speak about community and the Quran. And we're going to look at those communities and we're going to figure out what those communities are and try and figure out which community we want to be a part of. Try and figure out which community is best for us. Because if there is a collective accountability to our communities, if there is a collective accountability to the people that we sit with and the people that we spend time with, then we have to be careful about who those people are. And we have many different communities. many different groups that we associate with. A community is simply a group where you have some kind of shared interest, something that brings you together, and that could be anything. That could be you guys here in Al-Noor. For me, I'm a big Arsenal fan. It could be the fact that I'm an Arsenal fan or a football fan. It could be, there's not many Hyderabadis here today, as like usually, but it could be that you're from Hyderabad. It could be that you're from Karachi. It could be that you're from Pakistan or India. All these different things. It could be that you go to one school over another. There's loads of different things that make your community. I'll give you an example. One thing and one way to identify the communities that you're in are A, who are the people that you associate with, but also who are the people you don't associate with. So for me, for instance, I work for Pearson, better known as EdXL, the exam board. Now the people we don't associate with are AQA, OCR, the other exam boards. They're our rivals, right? And all of a sudden I find myself in this community of people who doesn't like the other group. See, we're in our own group of we're this exam board, this is who we work for, but there's also this community of we don't like those guys as well. It's an easy way to be able to distinguish who you are. Another example, I'm an Arsenal fan, and I have a severe dislike for Tottenham and Tottenham fans, apart from a boss. But what you have to realize is you can see the distinction, right? You can see this is the group of people that I like to associate with. This is the group of people that I like to be with. And we have all these different communities. We could go on and on and on and list the different kinds of communities we have. We have communities that we are part of at one point in our life and we're not part of at other points in our life. We have communities that we join and we leave. We have communities that stick with us throughout our lives. And obviously, when I talk about that, I'm going to talk about our Muslim community. And I'll vouch for this as a fact. The friends that I have from mosque, the friends that I have from madrasa, there's been times where we weren't as close. Fair enough. There's been times where we didn't talk all the time. Ehsan and Qaim at the back are prime examples. I haven't spoken to them consistently throughout my life, no, but somehow we keep merging paths again. We keep crossing paths again. And it's been years and years like that. I've known the guy since I was maybe 5 years old. And 24 years old now, our paths keep consistently crossing. Now, see, you'll have friends from school, right? And this generally, for guys, it's generally better than it is for girls, but you generally speaking won't be friends with your schoolmates forever. You may well be. I have friends who I met on the first day of year 7, I'm still very close with them, but generally speaking, with a lot of them, you'll drift apart. And these communities, they change consistently. The communities that you want to hold on to, that's what we want to look at over the next few days. That's what we want to focus on. But why is this community thing so important? Why does it matter so much which community we're part of? Which community we gravitate towards, which community we go towards? The key here is communities, they're not just places where we spend time with people to have a laugh. Your community isn't just where you go to pass the time. No. You get a lot from your community, a massive amount. Your community, they're there to support you when you need support. When you need help, they're there to help you. They're there when you need to grow, when you need to develop. They're there for that as well. But also on a more fundamental level, as humans, we're not meant to live as individuals. We're not meant to live alone. We're meant to have somewhere where we belong. We're meant to have somewhere where we fit in, and you'll always look for it. It's why football's so popular. It's why people are so passionate about the team that they support. Why? Because they found somewhere where they belong. Somewhere where they know everybody in that group is going to care for them in one way or another. They're going to stand with them one way or another. They know. If I'm at an Arsenal match, and I'll give you an example, for instance, I was at an Arsenal match last year. It was Arsenal versus Leeds, and there were about 30 or 40 Leeds fans walking down the road and like 30 or 40,000 Arsenal fans walking down the road. And this one Arsenal fan got into a fight with a bunch of Leeds fans. Now, 1 against 30, no chance, right? But he knew there's 30,000 guys walking alongside me, and if I get into a fight with these Leeds fans, they're still with me. They're standing right next to me, and they will back me as well. See, when you need that help, when you need that support, you can count on your communities. In the same way, when you need somewhere to fit in and somewhere to belong, somewhere where you know you'll be taken care of, you look for a community. And communities come in all different shapes and sizes. The first community you ever know is your family, your parents. It's who you turn to for help. It's who you look for help. They're the first community you ever know. After that will be your friends. The mates you make in school, they're your second community. And then you have other groups of friends. So for instance, if you play football, you have friends who you play football with, or if you play basketball, friends who you play basketball with. If you go to the mosque, friends from your mosque. And then you have other communities that come after that. You'll have your community at mosque. You'll have your community at, I don't know, if you go to tuition, you go to tuition. You have communities at work and all of these kind of things, societies at university. You'll get all of these different communities filtering through. But which communities do we want to be a part of? Now, the key thing to figure out when we want to figure out which communities we want to be a part of is what goes into making that decision. What goes into being part of a community? Do I just fall into a community? There's a few different things that make that up, right? The first of those is, does that clock work, by the way? Is that the correct time? Yeah? The first thing to note is there's different reasons why you fall into a community. Like we said, the first one was what? Your family. That's the first community you ever have. That's like an inherited community, right? You just fell into that community. You didn't have a choice over which family you're born into. No, you fell into that and that became your community. So it was like inherited. In the same way, for a lot of people, their religion is an inherited asset that they have. And from that comes the community with it. The religion isn't just something on its own. It's not just a set of rules. It's the community that comes with it, the lifestyle that comes with it, everything. The community is one of those core assets that comes with the religion. A lot of people will have that inherited as well. That's not to say you shouldn't then go again and find your religion. But a lot of people, particularly of those of you here today, a lot of you will have inherited that as well. These are inherited communities. There's other communities that come just as part of your environment. So for instance, when you go to school, the mates you make there, they're a part of your community, or they're a community that you have that they came as a part of your environment, as of what was around you. Because you were in that environment, because you spend 6 hours a day with these people every day, all of a sudden they've become your friends, you've built a little community there. And then you have the communities that you actively choose, right? So, which football team you support, a lot of the time, to be fair, a lot of the time people don't choose that, they inherit that from their family, but you might choose that actively. If you, for instance, go out and look for certain social activities, or for instance, when you're in university, you're joining societies, you're choosing communities to be a part of. Online, you'll find loads of communities online. You're figuring out which communities to be a part of online. You didn't just fall into that, you chose that, right? But here's the thing with the choice. Your family, your friends, and every other community you have, there's an element of choice in all of those. Every single one of those. Your family, they're the first community you ever know. But what kind of ties do you have with your family? How close are you with your family? Do you talk to them? Do you spend time with them? Are you making them your community? Or are they a community that you had when you were born and up until you needed them, and then all of a sudden they're not your community so much anymore? You don't have that anymore. You have that choice to make that a strong bond with your family. That choice is there. Your friends, when you're in school, when you're in university, when you're in college, when you're in sixth form, the friends you make, look, like my school, there were 180 kids in my year. There's different numbers of kids in every school, but you'd say at least 90 in every year, right? Of those 90 kids, you're not friends with every single one of them. You might be from a distance, but the ones who you spend time with, the ones who you're close with, generally speaking, they're ones in your class. How many in your class? Maybe 30. You're not close with 30 boys. No, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, depending on how old you are. That's your community, right? You've chosen which group amongst that large group you're going to focus on, you're going to hone in on, you're going to be friends with and make that community with. You had a choice there. And then the last one, you said you had a choice anyway. It was entirely up to choice. It's kind of like, and it's a stupid example, but it works in my head. Like in Harry Potter, the sorting hat, right? It tells you you're going to be in this house, you're going to be in Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff. But at the same time, we see it, I think it's at the end of Harry Potter, where you get to make a choice. You get to say for yourself, actually, I think I want to be in this group. I want to be in this house. And that's how it works, right? You choose your communities. You have to make an active choice. And that applies to everything you do in life. Everything you do, you make an active choice in it. And you have to be careful about that active choice. We spoke at the start about accountability. Here's why accountability comes in as a group. We say that everything we do, we're accountable for. Nobody else is accountable for my actions. I'm not accountable for anybody else's actions. But what I am accountable for is the choices I make. Now, have I chosen to stand and sit and spend my time with somebody who is a good person, who is a good, not necessarily a good Muslim, I'll stop it at a good person. Have I chosen to spend my time with somebody like that? Yes or no? Yes, I get the reward for that. That's accountability. No, I get the punishment for that. That's accountability. It's their actions, but it's my choice to spend time with them and be with them. It's my choice to allow myself to be influenced by them. It's my choice to try and direct influence on them. Amr bil ma'roof and nahy anil munkar. We often forget our wajib. It's my choice how I interact with my community. It's my choice who my community are. And there's about 10 or so minutes left, or 15 minutes left. When we look at that community, when we look at who they are, rather there's 10 minutes left in fact, don't worry, I won't go over time. When we look at that community and all those communities, over these next 6 days we're focusing on Quran. We're focusing on the word of Allah Azza wa Jal, Kalam Allah. That's where our focus is headed. And Allah Azza wa Jal speaks of a few different types of communities. He speaks of a few different distinctions of communities. He speaks of al-insan or nas, just humankind, generally, everyone. He speaks of the mu'mineen, he speaks of the muttaqeen, he speaks of the munafiqeen, he speaks of the kafireen, he speaks of all of these different groups. And I'll give you a spoiler alert here, I'm going to say we should be part of the muttaqeen, the greatest group that Allah Azza wa Jal speaks of. But we're going to look at why. We're going to delve into each of these groups over the next few days and see what Allah Azza wa Jal tells us about them. But let's have a quick look. Very, very briefly, let's look at what Allah Azza wa Jal says about them. When He speaks about humankind, mankind in general, what do we see? In Surah Al-Asr, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah Azza wa Jal says what? وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. He's talking about humankind in general, mankind in general. Verily, mankind is at a loss. Verily, man is at a loss. Now, if that's a group you want to be a part of, now, of course, we are all part of mankind because we are humans. We are naturally, but where's the distinction then? Allah refines it further. And I'll go from here right to the last distinction, right to the final kind of point on this spectrum, which is what? فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah Azza wa Jal loves those who have taqwa. Allah Azza wa Jal loves those who have taqwa. This love of Allah Azza wa Jal and fear within it, Allah Azza wa Jal loves those who have that. Now that's the group we want to be a part of. That's the community we want to find ourselves in. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal's love is the ultimate goal for us. What we're looking for in life is that love of Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? Because with that love comes absolutely everything else that you need. With that love comes absolutely everything else that you're looking for. That happiness that you can't find, that's there in Allah Azza wa Jal's love. That peace that you're looking for, that's there in Allah Azza wa Jal's love. That success and that prosperity, that's there in Allah Azza wa Jal's love. We spoke about the core need for a community being finding somewhere where you belong. Finding somewhere where you fit in. Somewhere where you can turn to when you need help, when you need support. You need support, you can turn to Allah Azza wa Jal. But again, a key thing to remember. There's no hand coming out of the sky to help you when you need help from Allah Azza wa Jal. The clouds aren't going to split, the sky isn't going to split and have the help come down from the heavens. If you're in financial difficulty, you're not going to walk home one day and find a treasure chest in your house. No. Allah Azza wa Jal sends us different resources, different things in our lives to help us. And amongst those, the biggest is our communities. The biggest is the people we have around us. I can say this from experience and with confidence. Alhamdulillah, at this point, where I am in my life is purely because of the communities that I've been part of. It's purely because of the people that are around me that have gotten me to where I am in life. And that's not just Islamically. Career-wise, my communities have helped me. In terms of like playing football, my communities have helped me grow in football. Islamically, yes, that's there, that's clear. They've helped me to get to where I am. But in every aspect of life, I can turn to my communities and they're there to help me. And that's something that I've gotten from Allah Azza wa Jal. When we pray to Allah Azza wa Jal and we make a dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, we often think it hasn't come true. We often forget to realize, and even when it does come true, we often forget that that was the dua that I made to Allah Azza wa Jal that's now being accepted. But it's because we seem to think that everything's going to happen in some miraculous, immediate way. That's not how it works. Allah's given us all these assets, and the biggest amongst them is our community, the people we can turn to, the people we can look to for help. Now, when we look for that sense of belonging, sometimes we might not find it in our communities. Sometimes we might go to a center, a mosque, and find that it feels hostile, find that it doesn't feel welcoming. Sometimes you might go to, for instance, a youth event, or you might go to a majlis, you might go to a jashan, and you don't feel like you belong there. You don't feel like you fit in. Why? Because the people there haven't made you feel like that. See, we're all going to look for communities. It's natural. It's what humans do. We look for communities. We look for places to fit in. We look for places where we belong. If you don't make people feel welcome around you, they're going to go and look for that somewhere else. And we're seeing it now. We're seeing people turn to other communities where really and truly they should be with us. Really and truly, we should be the ones taking care of them, but instead they've turned their faces elsewhere. They're looking elsewhere for that help. And I'll end on this point. The duty that we have, the responsibility that we have is A, to find and hold on to a good community. And B, to make sure that nobody else has to go looking somewhere else for a community other than their own centers, their own mosques, and within their own religious communities. So when you see someone new at the mosque, when you see someone new at the majlis or the jashan, or at Jum'ah or at Salah, take a step forward, welcome them. Make sure they feel at home, make sure they feel like they belong in that place. And if you do that for somebody else, you'll find you become a pillar of the community in such a way that when you need help, there will be no shortage of people stepping forward to help you. Before you even ask, people will be there to look out for you. And that's what a community gives you. But only if you give back to the community what it asks of you. And with that, let's raise our hands in dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. إلهي بحق محمد وأنت المحمود بحق علي وأنت الأعلى بحق فاطمة وأنت فاطر السماوات والأرض بحق حسن وأنت المحسن بحق حسين وأنت قديم الإحسان. Oh Allah Azza wa Jal, allow us to strengthen our own communities. Oh Allah, allow us to follow the guidance of the Quran in all our lives. Oh Allah, for all those mu'mineen around the world who are ill, grant them complete shifa. Oh Allah, for all those marhumeen who have left our ranks, grant them a great place in heaven. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. Allow us to stand alongside him. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع الدعاء. صلوات.